Right, here we go. Gonna accept Pranav's challenge. And I've got black. And he's going with A4 again. What? He did this last game too, and I was like very confused by that. I'm just gonna take both center pawns and see what happens. And he develops the knight here, which blocks in his own bishop. And the knight can't go to either of these two squares. It's kind of weird. Is he doing this where opening? Let's come here to protect the pawn and prepare castling. And he's hitting this pawn now, but undefended. So let's just go ahead and castle. Just thinking a while. So he's still at least 2 moves away from castling in either direction. So do I have time to do this, and then take? That doesn't even work. Even if I did have time, his queen would have to not be here. Oh, that's interesting. Well, I don't want to move the bishop because then he can take here. And that's kind of annoying. So I think I'm just going to develop my light squared bishop. And if he takes, then I'll just recapture with the queen. So now I think closing the center could be a good idea. It gives his knight this square, but it also it traps all of his pawns on dark squares, which leaves his dark squared bishop not as useful. I have this check, and then he blocks. So yeah, let's go ahead and play here. He kind of blocks in my own light squared bishop, but I could move it here later, so. Well, that's a good move. I didn't see that coming actually. I don't think I have any way of avoiding this. So I'll drop the queen back. Okay, let's come here. I can pin the knight, but then he would just block with the queen, and he's setting up like a discovery like this, which kind of forces a queen trade, which obviously I don't want because I'm down in exchange right now. All right, let's just solidify my pawn chain. Try and keep the center closed. Do I push and block it? I think I do. So one thing I'm thinking of is after he castles, I'm assuming he's going to castle short, I can play queen here and then knight here and maybe get some pressure along this. But then I guess he just takes and I'm down another piece. So maybe I play here. No, that still doesn't work. Okay, I guess he wants to play this. So I'll play here and make a space for my bishop. Maybe I only need to drop the bishop back here, actually. Oh, that last knuckle crack really hurt there. Well, it hurt, but it also kind of felt good. I think Pranav should play like f3 at some point is probably what he has to do. Because if I take, then he could take maybe this way and start getting these pawns rolling forward, something like that. Alright, let's drop all the way back here. Or maybe here. Or maybe even here, honestly. That way I still have something looking at that pawn on g4. But he still has two defenders. I would need to get rid of one somehow. Let's come back here. So he wants to play this. And if he does that, my knight would have to like drop back here. But then he could take this pawn and open up my king. But what if I played queen here, perhaps? You know, I think a while ago I should have played queen here to try and get his queen off this battery. This battery is really strong. Now it might be too late. Let's come here. My idea is that if he pushes the g pawn, I'm just going to drop my knight back. And then if he takes here, I'm just going to take with the queen. And I'm going to try and claim that I'm fine in this position. Whether that's actually true or not, probably not, but we'll find out. I don't know really how to defend these types of positions very well, so. could consider taking the pawn. I don't really want to take because it opens up his rook, but maybe it isn't that worrying. Whoa, what the heck? Okay, his queen wants to come in. Huh. Okay, I'm gonna play this and just start throwing everything I have at his king now that it's right here in front of me. Maybe he'll just go this way though. But I gotta start doing something, or he's gonna destroy me on the king side. If he just ignores this, do I take the pawn or do I push my own pawn again? Okay, good. I was about to say, I'm hoping he takes. I'm going to take with the knight and then try and push this. All right, I'm going to ignore that. Go here. The time situation definitely helps me out, although we have an increment, so I don't know if I'll ever be able to win on time. But Pranav might get so low that in order to keep up with the increment, he has to play like ridiculous moves. Okay, I think I take this, right? Like, I don't see anything better, and my queen is defended. probably still winning for him after we trade queens, but you know, this is this my best chance? What if I push the pawn again? Here, he takes, I take, he takes, I have check. Or here, he just moves his bishop here, and then I take, and we trade queens, and he takes the pawn. And that doesn't really seem like it's giving me anything. So I'm gonna go for this. And if he doesn't trade queens, then I'll, okay. Interesting. So we're not trading queens, assuming that I move my queen. Which I'm going to, of course. Let's come here, I think. Hold on. What if I sack and come here? And then what? Then there's nothing? Yeah, I don't see anything. Let's come here and threaten this pawn, and then I'm also going to try and get my rook here. Okay, he pushes the pawn forward still. So let's come here first and hit his queen. I think, maybe. I really wish this pawn wasn't here. Maybe I could bring my bishop this way and then sack here. But then that allows him to push this pawn further, and that is very worrying to me. Okay, could take this. Then he's probably going to play here or here and then try and push this pawn. I guess he would play here with the queen. That way his rook continues defending this pawn. He would try and win the pawn. I can sacrifice, and then after he takes, try and get in somehow. I could bring the rook up, but I don't really know what I get from that. I could try and bring the other knight somewhere. Again, I'm not sure what I'm getting from that. What if I came here, and then up here? What if I sack the knight, and then I try and come here in order to take, but then he just takes with the queen, and I lose that pawn. Damn, I really don't know what to do. Might just take this pawn now. Alright, I'm just going to take the pawn here in hope that I can defend this. We'll see what happens. It's risky to take the pawn, but it's also risky to leave it there. Maybe I should throw, oh, maybe I should have played this, and then here takes, and he has to move the bishop away. And then I can try and force these two pawns down. Oh, I think that was the move, because here I'm forking the king and the queen, so he's pretty much forced to take either direction. Can I still do it? Hold on. Here, he takes, I take, and then I'm threatening this. So he has to take. I take with the rook. If I move the knight away, he's going to play here with like a check. I'm going to lose my opportunity to do this. This probably is not good, but let's go for it anyways. The goal is to get two really strong passed pawns and then just hold on long enough to push them. So I'm threatening to take, and I'm also threatening to push and win the queen. Let's take, do I want to take with the bishop or with the rook? This has been a crazy game. Okay, hold up here. I think there's some interesting tactical ideas. What if I push this pawn? He comes here. I take this. No, but then he comes here. Well, no, if he does that, then I would take this and be perfectly fine, I think. So he would probably take the rook instead, and then I could play this, which is check. And his king has to move here. And then I'd take the queen with check. He would take back, and then I think I could queen. Or I could take this first, and he like plays here, and then I like run over here, and he tries to chase my king around. I don't know. Both ways are pretty lead to some pretty crazy stuff. Let's go ahead and try this. This might be wrong, but I'm gonna go for it anyways. So if he comes here, then I can just take, and he doesn't have any perpetuals, and his rook is kind of trapped, so I don't see what he does after that. He doesn't have any perpetuals because I can bring the bishop back at any point, or even block with the queen. Nice. Whew, what a comeback. That was a really good game. That was a very wild game. Good game, Pranav. Looks like he can play again later, potentially. For now, let's go ahead and review this. Interesting, taking was an inaccuracy. I thought bishop here was bad because it allows him to take. It just wants me to get the rook onto the e file. And let's see the full line here. Okay. This was a blunder because I allowed the bishop move. If I was going to redo this now, I think I would play something that prevents the bishop move, obviously, but what? Either just developing my knight with the idea of blocking, but then he has this. I guess I just play rook e8, and then I can drop the queen back after. Looks like it doesn't like this move either. Oh no, this is good. Best is just pushing the pawn forward. That way you have the check, and you can then move your rook out of the way. Probably to here, in order to pressure this. So the best place to move away was actually back there. Interesting. And this idea I had with queen up and then knight back was very good. Interesting that king up was one of the best moves. What was actually best here? Just taking. Okay. That was a blunder because I had this. That's apparently brilliant. What was best here? Basically doing the same idea that I had earlier, but or later on in the game, but just doing it now. And what about if instead of king b1, you play take? And I assume I'm taking this way. If he moves away, doesn't this just hang mate? No, because he stacks the queen. But yeah, basically it hangs mate. Not mate in 1, mate in 2. So best was probably still knight, yeah, which I found on the next move. Now it's brilliant. This was bad, so I blundered. I was ahead by 6.32, and then taking back this way is bad because of h takes g7, and then it wants me to bring the bishop back. Interesting. Here I was supposed to play rook takes, and then can we see the rest of the line? I see when you take with the rook, you're threatening to bring the rook up like this, and the bishop is supporting the rook. Whereas when I took with the bishop, it's getting in the way of the heavy piece that needs to do all the real action. Now that was a blunder. So here, instead of this move, he was supposed to do maybe like this, and now I don't really have anything. Like I can't get my queen in anymore. So here, why does he not just play, let's say he plays this, then what happens? Now I play c2. And the idea is that if he takes, then I have a discovered check, and I can win the queen, I suppose, or there's probably like a mate. And if he doesn't take, then I can play here and win the queen. So let's say he takes. Oh no, you just have this. This is just like mate in 3, right? Something like that. Interesting. Rook d2 check is actually better. Oh no, his queen covers this. Obviously, you don't play that. Whoops. So you have rook d2 check, which is a double check. Then the king takes, and then you play queen b2 check. The king is forced to come back here, and then you have mate on this square. Yeah, I don't know if I would have found that mate. I probably would have played here. But this is still very winning because you're just gonna be up a queen versus a rook at the end of the line. Alright, I'm pretty happy with the way I played that game. I mean, obviously I could have avoided blundering the exchange at the beginning, but I had a nice comeback, so I'm fairly pleased with that game.